Imagine waking up today and realizing that, while you were sleeping, an AI bought a used couch for you.
Right.
It negotiated the price down by $20 with another AI, mapped out the logistics for delivery, and flagged an international crime ring operating out of a fake domain along the way.
Just a normal Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it sounds like a speculative sci-fi script, but inside Meta, that was literally just Tuesday. Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We are taking your stack of sources, so the white papers, the internal roadmap leaks, the official log posts, and we're extracting the underlying architecture of what is actually happening. You aren't here for, surface-level summaries. You are here to understand the actual mechanisms that are actively rewiring the digital economy.
Absolutely. And to make sure we're looking at the actual signal and ignoring all the industry noise, our parameters for this analysis are, well, they're incredibly strict.
Extremely strict.
Right. We are focusing exclusively on meta-primary AI-centric developments that were officially published or released strictly within a 7-day window.
So that's March 8, 2026 to March 14th, 2026.
Exactly. If a claim or some rumor falls outside of that exact week, it just does not exist for the purposes of this discussion.
We are sticking to the hardened data. And, when you look at that specific week, the sheer velocity of what is happening inside Meta is staggering.
It really is. I mean, they're aggressively pushing vertical integration from the actual silicon chips in their data centers all the way up to consumer-facing marketplaces.
While at the same time grappling with, the intense pressures of the frontier model race. Okay, let's unpack this. We're moving right into Chapter 1, Cold Open.
Let's do it.
Why does this specific week matter? Because in a single week, we see Meta spending billions on infrastructure while deploying AI that affects millions of marketplace sellers.
And shutting down international crime rings.
Right. It's a complete microcosm of the AI industry's current state. Massive scale, high stakes, and real-world consequences. So to set the stage, here are the top 7 teasers to keep you hooked. Number 1.
The PyTorch team unlocks a massive 1.3x training speedup for the Llama 4 Scout model.
Number 2, Meta AI integrates real-time global news directly from major legacy publishers.
Number 3, Facebook Marketplace gets a complete Meta AI overhaul.
Number 4, Meta accelerates its custom silicon roadmap, dropping 4 new MTIA chips in just 2 years.
Number 5, Meta deploys AI to dismantle a 150,000 account scam network in Southeast Asia.
Number 6, Meta acquires an AI agent-only social network called Moltbook.
And number 7, Meta delays the launch of its highly anticipated Avocado model after internal benchmarks fall short.
Which is just a wild lineup for 1 week.
That's a lot to get through.
So let's jump straight into Chapter 2, Research. Because before we get to the flashy consumer products, we have to look at the math and the training techniques making them possible.
Right, the actual foundational layer.
Exactly. So we have this headline, MXFP8 Training for MOEs, straight from the PyTorch blog.
Published on March 12, 2026.
Yeah. So what happened is the PyTorch team, representing Meta, successfully demonstrated these MXFP8 low-precision training primitives using Torch.io.
And they applied this to routed and shared expert layers in the Llama 4 Scout model.
Right. And they did this on a massive 64-node, 256-device GB200 cluster using Torch Titan. So globally, why does this matter?
What's fascinating here is why mixture of experts, or MOE architectures, are so critical right now. See, MOE only activates parts of the neural network for specific tasks, which saves energy. And this new MXFP8 format supercharges that efficiency. It delivers a substantial end-to-end training acceleration while maintaining the same convergence quality.
Which is huge for Meta's internal costs, but also for the whole open source ecosystem.
Exactly. The key numbers here are pretty wild. A 1.3x overall training speedup.
So about a 30% jump.
Plus 30.2%. To be exact. It processes 6,921 tokens per second.
Wow.
Versus the 5,317 tokens per second they were getting in the older BF16 format. They are hitting roughly 81% of the theoretical roofline maximum of the hardware.
Okay, I have to jump in here with an analogy because all those acronyms get heavy. Think of MXFP8 like packing a suitcase more efficiently.
I like that.
You're fitting the exact same amount of clothes, which is your data, into a smaller bag, and that lets you run through the airport, meaning the compute cluster, much faster.
That's exactly what's happening. The risk, historically, is that maintaining convergence at lower precision is a delicate balance. If you drop too many bits, the model usually gets dumb and starts hallucinating.
It loses dynamic range.
Right. But PyTorch solved that by grouping the scaling factors mathematically. The word map states they'll continue integrating this into the broader open ecosystem via Torch.io.
which means developers everywhere will get their hands on it. That underlying training speed translates directly into features that hit billions of consumer screens. Which brings us to Chapter 3, Product Feature, APIs, and Tooling.
This is where we see the research turn into reality.
Yeah. Headline here is Facebook Marketplace's new Meta AI tools, released by Meta on March 12, 2026.
Right. So what happened? Meta rolled out these AI-powered features for marketplace sellers. Users can now create draft listings, fill in details, and get local price suggestions with literally a single click from an uploaded photo.
They also introduced AI auto-replies for buyer inquiries and AI-generated seller profile summaries.
The regional focus here is the U.S. and Canada, driven by the fact that over 3.5 million marketplace listings are posted daily there.
3.5 million a day, that's insane.
It is, and why it matters is adoption and performance. This drastically reduces the friction in peer-to-peer commerce. It builds trust through transparent AI-summarized seller histories. It positions Meta AI as an active commerce assistant, not just a chatbot.
Okay, but I want to push back on this a little bit.
Sure.
If AI is writing the listing, and then my AI is auto-replying to your AI as the buyer, aren't we just watching two bots talk to each other to sell a used couch?
Yeah, that is a very weird dynamic.
Right, like how do we maintain the human trust factor in that loop?
It's a valid concern, but that is exactly why the profile summary feature is so critical here.
How so?
The AI isn't just generating friendly chat, it's synthesizing hard data. It surfaces things like Facebook tenure, your friend count, group affiliations.
Oh, okay.
It pulls all those vectors together to establish immediate trust. You aren't trusting the bot's tone of voice, you know. You are trusting the mathematically verified history of the human account.
Okay, that makes sense. Meta is promising to continue evolving the marketplace experience, so we'll see how users adapt to it. But speaking of synthesizing data, let's talk about the next headline.
Bringing more international news and content to Meta AI.
Published by Meta AI on March 13th, 2026. What happened here is Meta announced global partnerships with major legacy publishers. News Corp, Figaro, Prisa, and Süddeutsche Zeitung.
Right. 4 major publisher groups named initially.
And they are feeding real-time news, entertainment, and lifestyle stories directly into the Meta AI assistant. Why does this matter for capability?
Because it directly addresses the biggest AI limitation hallucination.
Right, because models are usually frozen in time.
Exactly. By grounding the assistant in diverse, up-to-date, real-time current events, it becomes actually useful for news, and it simultaneously drives traffic back to the partner websites.
It's a retrieval augmented generation pipeline, a RAG setup.
Yes, but I do want to point out a very delicate balance here. Meta is not taking sides on the news.
No, not at all.
They are acting purely as infrastructural pipelines. They ensure users get diverse viewpoints straight from the original sources, remaining completely impartial.
Which is crucial. The release explicitly notes that real-time events are challenging for current systems to keep up with. But Meta plans to continually add new content sources to provide something for everyone.
But to instantly process a photo of a couch on Marketplace or summarize breaking global news in real time, you need an unimaginable amount of server power.
You do.
And Meta is tired of relying solely on external vendors for it.
Which transitions us perfectly to Chapter 4, Infrastructure, Chips, and Compute.
This is the hardware layer.
Headline: Expanding Meta's custom silicon to power our AI workloads. Released by the Meta Newsroom and AI at Meta Blog on March 11th, 2026.
Right. So what happened is Meta revealed an aggressively fast roadmap for its in-house meta training and inference accelerator chips, the MTIA chips.
They are developing and deploying 4 new generations, MTIA 300, 400, 400, 450, and 500 over the next 2 years.
4 generations in 2 years is wild.
It really is. The key numbers here are a roughly 6-month release cycle. They already have hundreds of thousands of MTIA chips deployed. And from the MTIA 300 to the 500, they're seeing a 4.5x high bandwidth memory increase and a 25x compute FLOPS growth.
A 25x growth is massive. This matters for cost and performance globally. By shrinking the typical 1 to 2 year chip development cycle down to 6 months, Meta can rapidly tailor compute for its specific generative AI inference and ranking workloads.
Okay, let's unpack this. So what does this all mean? Why don't they just buy chips off the shelf from NVIDIA like everyone else?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it comes down to Meta's inference-first focus.
Explain that.
Mainstream chips, like NVIDIA's flagships, are built for heavy pre-training, brute force matrix math. But Meta is optimizing for the billions of times a day a user asks an AI a question, or when the algorithm ranks a feed. That's inference.
Oh, right.
Inference is memory bandwidth heavy, not compute heavy. So Meta is building customized chips that integrate seamlessly with industry standards like PyTorch and the Open Compute Project, vastly reducing long-term deployment costs.
Meaning they don't have to rip out their data center racks every time they upgrade.
Exactly. MTIA 300 is already in production. The 400, 450, and 500 will primarily support GenAI inference production into 2027.
It takes immense capital expenditure, but it's clearly their path to hardware independence. But as the underlying compute gets stronger, the bad actors get faster too.
They absolutely do.
Which brings us to Chapter 5, Safety, Policy, and Standards. Because Meta is deploying its new AI capabilities directly to the front lines of digital safety.
Headline here. Meta launches new anti-scam tools and joint disruption operations. This was published globally in the Meta newsroom on March 11th and updated on March 16th.
Right. Meta deployed advanced AI systems across WhatsApp, Facebook, and Messenger. It analyzes text, images, and context to detect sophisticated scams.
Things like crypto fraud and these terrifying digital arrests.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Concurrently, they partnered with global law enforcement for a joint disruption week in Southeast Asia to dismantle organized scam centers.
The scale here is hard to wrap your head around. They removed 159 million scam ads globally in 2025.
And 92% of those were removed proactively by AI.
Right. They banned 12.1 million ad pieces in India alone. In the Southeast Asia operation, they disabled over 150,000 accounts, and Thai authorities made 21 arrests.
And moving forward, their goal is that 90% of ad revenue will come from verified advertisers by the end of 2026.
Which is a huge economic shift. It matters for safety because this represents a shift from reactive, rule-based moderation to proactive, multimodal AI defense. It actively disrupts the industrialization of cross-border online crime.
Okay, I have to bring up the digital arrest scam mentioned in the text because the reality of this is just terrifying.
It really is.
For those who don't know, fraudsters get on a video call in a fake police uniform and convince a victim they are under digital arrest to extort money. How does AI actually spot this? It's not just scanning for a bad word.
No, it's way more advanced than that. The AI uses multimodal fusion. It analyzes fake fans' sentiment on the scammers' pages. It looks at misleading bios, deceptive domains.
Pulling in the metadata.
Exactly. It's processing massive amounts of contextual information, the network topology, the sudden spikes in video calls to elderly users. A human moderator could never synthesize all those disparate signals instantly.
But the AI can.
Right. The risk, of course, is that scammers are continuously evolving, making it an ongoing arms race.
Which is why they are pushing so hard on the advertiser verification side. But to fight AI-powered scams, you need highly sophisticated AI agents.
You do.
And to understand AI agents, Meta is making some highly unusual acquisitions. Let's look at Chapter 6, Partnerships, Funding, and M&A.
This one is wild. Headline. Meta to acquire Moltbook, the AI agent social network. From Meta Superintelligence Labs via Reuters, published March 10th, 2026.
Yeah, so Meta acquired Moltbook. It's an experimental social network designed specifically for AI bots to interact and share code. The two co-founders, Matt Schlicht and Ben Parr, are joining Meta's Superintelligence Labs.
The terms of the deal were undisclosed, but they officially joined Meta on March 16th.
Okay, I'm completely bewildered by this. An AI agent social network?
Yeah.
What are they doing, just posting memes for other bots? Why do programs need a social feed?
This raises an important question, right? What happens when AI start building their own communities and sharing code without humans in the loop?
Exactly.
You have to stop thinking of a social network as entertainment. For agents, it's a sandbox for protocol optimization. They don't use English. They use vector space and structured APIs to establish consensus.
So if I tell my AI to book a flight and a hotel, it has to negotiate with the airline's AI and the hotel's AI.
Right. And Moltbook was where agents practice doing exactly that. This signals Meta's serious intent to accelerate the development of autonomous interacting AI agents. They are securing niche expertise in native agent-to-agent ecosystems.
They want the data set of how bots communicate successfully.
Precisely. They are integrating the Moltbook team directly into Meta's AI research arm.
Which actually ties perfectly into Chapter 7, Enterprise Adoption and Case Studies. Because while there aren't traditional enterprise white papers published exactly this week, we are seeing massive shifts in how businesses operate on Meta's platform.
We really are. If we look back at the advertiser verification and marketplace tools we discussed earlier, For millions of small to medium businesses, Facebook Marketplace literally is their enterprise platform.
Right. SMBs are the enterprise here.
Exactly. The new AI listing tools and the push to have 90% of ad revenue from verified advertisers by 2026, that represents Meta's enterprise AI adoption strategy in action.
It's ground-up adoption, not just top-down SaaS contracts.
Yeah.
But for all this rapid acceleration, Meta hit a very public speed bump this week at the very frontier of their model development.
The biggest story of the week.
Yeah, Chapter 8. Incidents, Outages, and Security. Headline. Meta delays rollout of AI model Avocado. This is coming out of Meta Superintelligence Labs, reported by Reuters, the New York Post, and Business Times on March 12 and 13.
So Meta delayed the planned March launch of its next-generation foundational model, codenamed Avocado, pushing it to at least May or June.
Right. And the reason is that internal tests showed it trailing Google's Gemini 3 in reasoning, coding, and writing. The numbers show Avocado performing somewhere between Gemini 2.5 and 3.0.
Which is a huge blow. This matters because it highlights the extreme, unforgiving competitive pressure in the AI space. Meta has a massive 2026 capital spending budget projected at $115 billion to $135 billion.
$135 billion.
Right. And yet, despite that money, they're struggling to close the gap with frontier rivals. They're even allegedly considering licensing Google's Gemini temporarily.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Meta has up to $135 billion in capital spending, yet they are still delaying the model. It breaks the assumption that whoever buys the most compute automatically wins.
It absolutely does. But delaying is actually a sign of maturity here.
How so?
Because releasing an undercooked model is worse than a delayed one. The risk of severe brand damage and developer attrition is too high. If it hallucinates or fails logic tests, developers will abandon the ecosystem.
So they're taking the hit now to tune it until at least May 2026.
Right. And I'd ask the listener directly, what stands out to you about a tech giant potentially swallowing its pride to license a rival's model?
It shows how critical it is to not lose consumer trust, even if it hurts your pride. Okay, moving on to Chapter 9. Notable demos and media. Usually this is where we'd break down a viral video or an official demo.
But based strictly on official Meta channels published within our exact March 8th to 14th window, there are actually no official media demos to cover this week.
Right, and since we stick strictly to the facts, we move on. Chapter 10, Toolbox. For the developers listening, here is what you can actually download and use right now.
Headline, Digidata Dataset and SSDD Model Release. This is from Meta AI and FAIR, published on the Hugging Face Hub between March 13 and 14, 2026.
Right, so Meta's FAIR division updated and released this Digidata dataset and the SSDD computer vision model on Hugging Face. And Hugging Face, for context, serves over 2 million models industry-wide.
It's massive. And why this matters for adoption and capability is that Digidata provides critical training data for digital interaction models. We're talking about UI and UX patterns.
So it allows developers to build better digital assistance and accessibility tools.
Yes. It reinforces Meta's open science approach. It's available immediately for open source integration globally with no stated risks.
Okay, connect this back to what we were just talking about with Moltbook.
Right, so if you want AI agents like the ones they're building at Moltbook to use human user interfaces, they need to be trained on data sets exactly like Digidata.
Because agents need to know what a submit button looks like, or how a drop-down menu functions on a random website.
Exactly. The dataset gives the agents eyes to see our legacy software.
It's all connected. Which brings us to our final chapter, Chapter 11, Wrap What to Watch Next.
It has been a massive week.
To summarize, Meta is building the chips with MTIA. They're speeding up the training with PyTorch MXFP8. They're expanding the datasets with Digidata, buying the agent communities with Moltbook, and deploying all of this to billions of users on Marketplace and News.
But the crown jewel model, Avocado, remains out of reach for now.
Exactly. So what should people be watching for next?
Keep an eye out for May 2026 to see if Avocado can finally beat Gemini 3. That is the big test. Also, watch for the physical rollout of the MTIA 400 chips into the data centers. That hardware layer dictates everything else.
It really does. We've talked about AI answering buyers on Marketplace and AI bots chatting on Moltbook. So here's something to mull over on your own as we wrap up.
A provocative thought.
Exactly. When an AI seller negotiates with an AI buyer on a platform moderated by AI anti-scam tools running on custom AI chips, what exactly is the human's role in the economy of tomorrow?
Are we just the ones accepting the package at the door?
Right. It's a huge question.
Well,
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We want to make sure you walk away feeling equipped and well-informed about the architecture of tomorrow. Have a great week, and we'll catch you on the next one.